wonderful to be here in Dublin, and I thank you very much for the very warm welcome you've given us in spite of the slightly chilly weather, which I congratulate the media on braving as you all are this morning. Leo, you and I first met a few years ago when we jointly officiated at the St Patrick's Day procession in Trafalgar Square in London. And it was a pretty joyous occasion. And of course we then celebrated the incalculable contribution of the Irish community to London, and there in the vast crowds was of course the living embodiment of one of the densest and most intricate and most vital relationships in the world between any two countries. And together, Leo, we both recognise that our peoples are the beneficiaries of the efforts of our predecessors, politicians and others, who put aside differences and who found compromises and who took our countries forwards together in circumstances that are far tougher than now. And the results for both the UK and Ireland are immense, not just a peaceful and open border, but an economic partnership by which we in the UK eat, I think, 50% of all the cheese and beef produced in Ireland, which is a lot, and the very captain of the World Cup winning English cricket team was born in this city. So I believe our job now is to take that relationship forward and to build on it. We've got a UK-Ireland summit in November. I look forward to that. And of course in all the ways in which the UK and Ireland work together around the world with shared values and shared interests. But as you rightly say, Taoiseach, before November there are two tasks, political tasks, that we simply have to do. And we must restore the government in Stormont, in Northern Ireland, and I promise to work with you on our shared objective there. And, of course, we must get Brexit done, because the UK must come out on October the 31st, by October the 31st, or else I fear that permanent damage will be done in the UK to trust in our democratic system. And I know that Brexit was not, to be perfectly frank, a problem, a conundrum that Ireland wished for. And I think there are certainly questions that we need to resolve. And there are three basic questions that we have to answer for the sake of our collective peace of mind. Can we ensure that we continue to have unchecked movement at the border of goods and people, and indeed cattle? And I think the answer is yes. And as someone who went to the border several times before the Good Friday Agreement and shuddered to see watchtowers on UK soil, I can say now, as I've said many times before, the UK will never, ever institute checks at the border. And I hope our friends in the EU would say the same. Can we uphold the Belfast Good Friday Agreement in all its particulars? And again, I say the answer is yes. And our commitment in the UK to the peace process is unshakable. Can we protect the economic unity of the island of Ireland and the gains that Ireland has won through its membership of the EU single market? And again, I think the answer is yes. And I think we can achieve these things while allowing the UK to withdraw whole and entire from the EU. And of course, I acknowledge the complexities involved and the symbolism and the sensitivities evoked by the very concept of a border. But strip away the politics, and at the core of each problem, you find practical issues that can be resolved with sufficient energy and a spirit of compromise. Indeed, the current treaty must logically envisage that the problems can be solved, or the present protocol would never have been called a backstop. So I have one message that I want to land with you today, Leo, and that is that I want to find a deal. I want to get a deal. Like you, I've looked carefully at no deal. I've assessed its consequences, both for our country and yours. And yes, of course, we could do it. The UK could certainly get through it. But be in no doubt, that outcome would be a failure of statecraft for which we would all be responsible. And so, for the sake of business, of farmers, and for millions of ordinary people who are now counting on us to use our imagination and creativity to get this done, I want you to know I would overwhelmingly prefer to find an agreement. Our governments have spent 3 years masticating this problem, and so I think it's time now to honour the achievements of our predecessors who tackled far worse problems by cracking this one ourselves. I won't say we can do it all today, but I do believe that a deal can be done by October the 18th, so let's do it together. Thank you very much.
First of all, allow me to say that we respect the democratic and sovereign decision of the British people to leave the European Union. If there is no deal, it'll cause severe disruption for British and Irish people alike, not so much on the continent. And whatever happens, we'll have to get back to the negotiating table quite quickly. And when we do, the first items on the agenda will be citizens' rights, the financial settlement and the Irish border, all issues which we had resolved in the withdrawal agreement made with your predecessor, an agreement made in good faith by 28 governments. But if there is a deal, and I think it's possible, we'll enter talks on a future relationship agreement between the EU and the UK. It's going to be very tough. We'll have to deal with issues like tariffs, fishing rights, product standards, state aid, and it will then have to be ratified by 31 parliaments. We may sometimes differ, but we're bonded by our shared past and our shared kinship. And I think we've a shared dream too, one of peace, freedom and prosperity.
Parliament has been blocking your bids to call a general election. It's been blocking the attempt to keep no deal on the table. How can you convince the Irish Prime Minister that you have the power to get anything through Parliament when the numbers are stacked against you there?
Well, I think that what everybody in the whole of the EU, including in Dublin, can see is that Brexit negotiations and discussions have been going on for far too long. They want an end to it, and they want it done, and that's certainly what I want done. And we will come out on October the 31st, and I'm sure that, as I say, parliamentarians will see the wisdom of doing that and respecting, honouring the referendum result, the democratic referendum result. And I'm absolutely undaunted by whatever may take place in Parliament, because I think what the British people want us to do is to deliver a deal and to get on and take us out on October the 31st. And that's why I'm so glad to be here in Dublin talking to the Taoiseach, and I look forward to some constructive conversations in the next few minutes. I want to stress, I want to manage down expectations here, Emma. I don't think we're going to have, I'm just looking at the future, I don't think we're necessarily going to have a complete breakthrough here this morning.
Not today, anyway.
Not today. But
might be a good start.
But we are going to work at this, and I think that is what the people of the UK would want us to do.